As far as the BRIC countries going to a gold standard, the probability is far higher today than it was 6 months ago. I'll tell you that. There's pros and cons there, because a government basically foregoing the ability to just increase the money supply at will, or putting a constraint on themselves, that doesn't happen too often. That's not really in the government's best interest. That said, if your priority as a government is to force the world to de-dollarize, and that was a higher priority than not having the constraint of the volatility in the money supply, or being able to create more currency units at will, then maybe, it's just it's kind of like a cost benefit analysis. And I don't know what their priorities are. If their number one priority is de-dollarizing, then that increases the odds quite significantly. But if their number one priority is keeping control and not constraining themselves when it comes to their money supply, then the probability of this is incredibly low. But I don't know if there's a way that you could do both. What they might be able to do is set up a currency that wasn't tied to a specific sovereign. So it's not the gold-backed yuan, it's not the gold-backed ruble, it's not the gold-backed dinar, lira, whatever. It's the gold-backed XYZ that is, maybe what they do is they set up a BRIC bank like the IMF. We have the IMF, so why can't the BRICS have one? And they give it authority to do X, Y, and Z, and they deposit all this gold with the BRIC IMF, what is called the BRIC Bank, and then they issue SDRs, or something that is the equivalent of like a gold-backed SDR. And then the countries can maintain their autonomy when it comes to trying to micromanage the money supply, because they feel as though now they don't have that constraint of the gold standard, and they can go ahead and increase the money supply if they think it's appropriate. But you do have the benefit of a competing gold-backed currency to take share away from the dollar that is more in line with what Keynes had talked about in Bretton Woods with Bancor. And I know that was the currency. What was the name of the bank he was talking about? World Bank and Bancor or something like that. But he was basically talking about that back in 44. And so maybe the BRICS go that route. I'm spitballing this. I'm just talking, just kind of thinking through this out loud. So that could be a possibility. But those are kind of I think if I'm the Chinese government, or if I'm the Russian government, or if I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of a typical politician, those are the variables that I'm trying to weigh. And maybe that is a potential solution. We'll have to see. The one thing I can assure you is this decade is going to be very volatile, and you're going to see significant changes happening very quickly. I've used that saying from Lenin many, many times, where he said that decades go by where nothing happens, and there's weeks that go by when decades happen. And I think we're in a decade where you're potentially going to see centuries go by. And this is what we need to prepare for as investors and people who want to not just survive, but thrive in this crazy, crazy, crazy world that's getting just crazier by the day. So that's thinking out loud there. I know I didn't maybe answer your question specifically because I didn't see that interview, but those are my thoughts on the BRIC countries and maybe a potential currency backed by gold moving forward.